Hi, this is Damien from Top 5 E-Bikes, and today I'm really excited to do a review for you on the Lectric XP 2.0 Lite. So that's the smaller, more compact version of the flagship Lectric XP 2.0, and now the 3.0, which just came out earlier this summer. Yeah, so we're gonna go through the pros and cons of the Lectric Lite edition. We're gonna tell you some things I love about this bike, and then some things that we think maybe could be improved. We're also gonna go deep into the specs like we always do on the bikes and incorporate a lot of cool ride footage here in the Santa Barbara area. But before I forget, please subscribe to Top 5 E-Bikes if you really enjoy e-bike content. If you really like this video, go ahead and drop us a comment. At the very least, like the video. Every time you guys engage with our videos, it helps us with the algorithm and it helps amplify our channel on YouTube. So we really appreciate it. And that's the last I'm going to say about that, because I hate doing that plug. So let's talk about some key differences between the XP Lite and the Lectric XP 2.0. This bike is about 4 inches shorter than the 2.0. It's 63 inches in length, 25 inches wide, and 41.5 inches high, which is about 5.5 inches shorter in height than the 2.0. And this bike has a single speed drivetrain with the 52-tooth front chainring and a 16-tooth rear wheel cog. It's a little bigger than the rear cog of the 2.0, which is 14 teeth, and was designed to help with hill climbing. The tires are 20 by 2.4 or 2.6 inch Chaoyang tires. You have a choice. They're slimmer, but they're still pretty good for off-roading. The motor on the XP Lite is 300 watts with 720 peak watts. It's a rear hub geared motor, whereas the 2.0 is 500 watts. The top speed of the Lite is only 20 miles per hour. It's a true Class 2 e-bike. So if this is a deal breaker, then you might want to opt for the 2.0 or 3.0, which are Class 3 e-bikes. The battery is also smaller on the XP Lite, which is another trade-off. It is a 48 volt battery, but it's only 7.8 amp hours. So the range says it's up to 45 miles, but it's probably closer to 20 using pedal assist 3 and only 15 miles just using throttle. This bike does not include front and rear fenders. It doesn't include a rear rack, but you do get an LED headlight and a tail light, which are pretty bright. The brakes are 160 millimeter mechanical disc brakes. They're not name brand, they're nothing special. The seat is nothing special, but you can upgrade to the comfort package for only $99 more, and you can get that oversized, more cushiony seat with a suspension post included. One of the cool things about the XP Lite is it still has the huge backlit LCD display. It still has 5 levels of pedal assist. It's got the twist throttle that you see in the 2.0 and the 3.0. And the XP Lite has 4 color options. Each are really beautiful and eye-catching. Lectric does an amazing job with the paint and weld on these e-bikes. I think they're very aesthetically pleasing. So one of our earliest reviews was of the Lectric XP 2.0, the step-through edition, and I had a lot of fun riding that bike. I took that bike on trails, I crashed that bike. Check out that review if you haven't already. But what we're going to talk about today is the light version of that bike. So because this is still an electric bike, it's still Lectric XP, it still has a lot of the same characteristics that all the other bikes in their fleet share, right? It's still foldable, it's still an affordable e-bike. It's still a bike you can take off-road a little bit, because even though it doesn't have really fat 3-inch tires like the 3.0 and the 2.0 have, it's a more maneuverable, nimble, I would say even more fun bike to ride, just because it's more versatile. But it's meant to be the most approachable bike in the lineup because it's smaller, it's lighter, it folds into a smaller package. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that on this review. So what I was planning on doing is taking this bike to this little trail system right on the bluffs of Santa Barbara on the other side of town. I'm already on a trail, which I did not anticipate. I've never been down this route before, and it looks like Google Maps is taking me on a shortcut on, looks like they're like horse trails. So yeah, a little bonus footage. We're on a trail and I'm telling you, this bike is handling it pretty well. Like I would have no hesitation taking this bike off-road. But, you know, whereas the other 2.0 and 3.0 bikes, they come with 20 by 3-inch tires. This one is 20 by 2.4 or 20 by 2.6. So the bike that they sent us has 20 by 2.6 tires. They're slimmer, they're a little bit more maneuverable, a little more nimble. You know, it's really easy to kind of just stop on a dime. And, you know, one of the first impressions I've had of this bike, and, you know, I didn't expect to like this bike right out of the box just because it only goes 20 miles per hour. But as soon as I got over the fact that it only goes 20, I started to really like riding this bike because it's more of like a ripper, right? Like, you know, you can kind of maneuver in a way you just can't with the Lectric 2.0 and now the 3.0. So I really like that. And for just like a strict urban commuter, that, by the way, also is capable on easy trails. I mean, it's a great option for only $800, right? It's $200 less than the 2.0 and the 3.0. Okay, we're finally at the trail and I switched the view because I wanted you guys to see kind of like the first person view. And look at this tight squeeze here. Look at this. This is basically the most perfect bike to actually get through here with no issues. Look at that. So yeah, here we are. Here we're at this trail. So we're kind of near the coast and we're on this like bluff trail. And it's a little sandy, but it's mostly just hard packed dirt. And this is really the ideal kind of trail that this bike can handle. So we're kind of here, we're in pedal assist level 3. The trail is getting a little sandier. So I wouldn't recommend doing this trail after it just rained. It's gonna be the mud would be too deep and those tires wouldn't really handle that very well. But for a day like this, nice dry trail, even though it's a little sandy, you can easily navigate it. So another thing I really like about this bike is the motor. So it's 350 watt nominal, 720 peak watt. The nominal power doesn't blow you away, and but the peak power, you definitely feel it. Like I felt it on some of these hills. And what I really like about this bike is the motor doesn't just take off on you, right? Some of these like monster bikes that go 28 miles per hour, you know, you would feel a little nervous on this kind of trail, right? Because look at how close we are to the edge of the cliff here. Also, look how amazing this view is. But I've been on bikes that are so powerful, and then also the cadence sensor is not really tuned that well. But what's great about this bike is the cadence sensor, it kicks in when you need to. I don't really sense much of a delay when you're pedaling. It gives you the motor power when you need it. But again, it doesn't just take off on you like some of these bigger, heavier, more powerful e-bikes can. But I mean, look at this, man. This is an Lectric commercial right here. I wish I had the drone to get some good drone shots here. The XP Lite is the most approachable and straightforward e-bike in the Lectric fleet. It's single speed and has less non-essential components, which means it's going to be easier for riders to maintain and also just easier to ride. Standard fat tire e-bikes aren't for everyone because they can be harder to store, harder to maneuver, and harder to transport. I think it's really cool that Lectric sticks to its guns with the XP Lite though. They have a tried and true design and they want all their e-bikes to be off-road capable and foldable and fit the mold of the fat tire e-bike. But with XP Lite, you get those same characteristics, but in a package that's smaller and even more affordable. You see that we're riding this bike off-road, but for the most part, you're not going to be taking this bike on demanding trails. It doesn't have front suspension like the 2.0 and 3.0. The XP Lite can handle some light trails, but not quite at the same intensity of the other Lectric bikes. I'm gonna say something that's pretty obvious. The XP Lite is only an $800 e-bike. Yeah, there's some things that it doesn't have when you compare it to the 2.0 and 3.0. Like it doesn't have suspension, the motor's smaller, it doesn't come with the rear rack and fenders, but again, it's $200 less than those bikes, and what you do get is pretty awesome for only 800 bucks. And if you really need a bigger bike, because maybe you're a heavier rider, or you like to haul cargo, or you use your bike for deliveries, just get the 2.0 or 3.0. You're gonna have to spend a little more, but it's gonna be worth it if you're that type of rider. If you're a shorter, smaller rider, on the other hand, and you don't need a class 3 e-bike that goes 28 miles per hour, this is a great bike. 20 is actually a pretty good speed if you just want something that's good for commuting to work, moving around the neighborhood on weekends, and running errands. One other thing that blew me away about the XP Lite is how surprisingly well it performed on hills and how much torque this small motor is able to generate. This motor generates 300 watts of nominal and 720 watts of peak power, which is quite the jump. I really felt that riding on these steep hills here in Santa Barbara. In fact, the XP Lite outperforms a few other e-bikes we own when it comes to these hills, and those bikes have slightly bigger motors and even multiple gears, believe it or not. So now I want to give you my final thoughts on the XP Lite by Lectric. But before I do that, I want to disclose they did send this bike to us for free. We're e-bike reviewers. A lot of times bike manufacturers will send us bikes for free. But with every review we do, we try to remain impartial, right? And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give you a fair assessment of this type of bike for this particular segment of the market, right? Urban commuter bikes that are portable and foldable, right? So when I do a comparison, I'm not comparing this, against, a Radwagon or a Van Moof or something like that, right? We're talking about budget e-bikes here that cost under $1,000. So keep that in mind when I tell you my final thoughts on this bike. But I love this bike, and I would 100% buy this bike if this was the type of bike I was in the market for, right? A foldable urban commuter e-bike. What I don't like is, and these might be kind of ticky-tack things, but it doesn't come with fenders. And with the 2.0 and the 3.0, the fenders are standard, the lights are standard. This does thankfully come with lights. But if you're gonna ride this as designed, which is, going to work to and from, maybe just like, like a weekend fun bike, you definitely need fenders because you never know when you're gonna ride through a puddle. And I've had plenty of times where the puddle shoots water up the back and you get that streak on your t-shirt or whatever, right? That's no fun. So yeah, they didn't include fenders because they're trying to keep the price down, and it's not that much to add fenders, but just might as well just add them and then maybe charge a little bit more for the bike, in my opinion. The other thing I don't like, and this is kind of a general statement on all folding e-bikes, it's still kind of hard to fold and unfold this bike. And I say this because I have a neighbor who's elderly. He has a folding e-bike, and the spring is so tight on these usually that a lot of times it's a two-man person. It's a two-man job to fold and unfold these e-bikes. And this one it's a little awkward. It's just, I don't know if anyone is going to be able to solve for that issue, but it is a little annoying, I must say, and but it is something that I'd want to point out, right? The last thing I want to talk about is, and this is the thing that probably every reviewer of Lectric has pointed out, and it's on all the review boards, it's the key placement, right? So on the Lectric, the key goes on the bottom, right? You don't have visibility to the bottom when you're putting the key in. That's kind of a pain in the butt. A lot of e-bikes, you don't even need a key to turn the battery on. And I'm not sure why Lectric has made the engineering choice to always require the key. I mean, there's obviously, theft is a consideration, right? You don't want people stealing your bike, but I feel like a lot of other companies have figured out how to get around that without requiring a key. Then I'm not sure why Lectric does it. Anyway, it's a pet peeve of mine. I just feel weird about, yeah, you can take the key out when you park the bike, but I just don't understand why it has to stay in the bike at all times. So to tie everything together, this is a great bike. I really love the XP Lite. I think it's a tremendous amount of value. There's a really great Black Friday special right now. You can get the bike and get a ton of additional accessories included for free. If you're gonna get this bike, I would take advantage of that. But for what it is, it's just a super fun bike. It's very light, it's portable, it's easy to have in apartments. I love bikes like that are just, you know, practical. You know, for someone that's maybe of a smaller frame, this is a great point A to B bike. It's a great commuter, urban commuter, weekend bike, right? It's fun on trails. It goes up to 20 miles per hour, which I was surprised about. Which is fun. It's great. You don't really need to go any faster than 20 if all you want is a point A to B bike, a commuter e-bike, right? So for that reason, I highly recommend the XP Lite. I think it's one of the best values you can have in a bike under $1,000, if not the best value. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear feedback from commenters who read this video. So if you have comments, or if you have maybe a difference in opinion about this bike, or if there's other bikes that you think are better for the $800 price, we'd love to hear it. If you made it to this point, thank you so much for watching. Keep a lookout for all of our other videos. Subscribe to Top 5 E-Bikes. And if you don't like the Lectric, you might find another cool bike we're reviewing in the future that it's more your speed. So thanks very much.
If you enjoyed this review, please subscribe to our channel, leave us a comment, visit us at top5ebikes.com or some of our social media accounts. Thank you.